Portfolio Manager in Bluebay Asset Management. Kaspar, thank you so much for having us a few minutes.
Hi there. Hi, Marta.
We've seen how the euro and the dollar have reached parity for the first time in 20 years, signaling the market's assumption that the European economy is heading for a deep recession as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Which evolution do you think the euro will have on next weeks and next months?
Our expectations is it could easily go a bit further here. So we have not only have the lowest levels since 2002, but also have been in a bear market for 14 years since the collapse of Bear Stearns in March 2008, where the euro peaked at 180 on global growth optimism. Europe is a powerhouse in terms of competitiveness. We have been running a current account surplus of 2 to 3% over the last years, and really consistently since 2001, 2002. But remember, at 2001, 2002, Europe ran a current account deficit of 2 to 3%, and it's very likely that with current gas prices, that Europe is falling back to a deficit, current account deficit of 2 to 3%. This year and probably beyond. So with European recession already largely priced, and the focus point here really is on gas prices, we think that the euro could well go a bit lower until we get some more clarity on the inventory situation, where governments have prepared well and are continue to preparing for the worst. But still, we think in the euro it is not fully priced, while in other classes, mainly in European corporate credit, it is already priced, and there you should look for taking advantages of valuations.
Kaspar, you said now we could see an euro a little bit lower, and you said in a Bloomberg interview that the euro could sink to 0.9 against the US dollar if Russia cuts off oil supplies to Europe. Do you hold this outlook? Do you see even a weaker euro if the conflict with Russia gets worse?
So yeah. Russia is front and center. The Russian invasion into Ukraine really is crucial to observe all the effects it has going forward. Euro, if we wouldn't have an invasion, then Europe would most likely, in our view, have grown stronger than the US, partly due to smarter and longer-lasting fiscal policy. The euro most likely would have risen. And the interest rate differential would have fallen as well, would have tightened to the US. Currently, we don't see any of this to play out. We think there is a likelihood that Putin, for whatever in political reason, is not letting Nord Stream 1 flowing gas through at the 22nd of July, at least not immediately, so that the risks are high that we are seeing further disruptions. And that combined with widening of interest rate spreads to the US, where we expect a 75 basis points hike in the July meeting, means that it is too early to trade for these structural reversal in the downturn trend in the euro. And it could be just the next year's trade. With regard to 90.95, our level in euro dollar, and that could be a bit far stretched. We have seen valuations of 85 in 2001, 2002, where the current account was equally negative as we would expect it for this year. But this year we expect a huge fiscal stimulus on the other hand, and that should cover for most of the downturn in growth, and it should cover to avoid a large default cycle in our view. And that's why there is room for credit to perform here. And that's why we think the euro will not trade as worse as in 2002, around 2002. but still has some room to deteriorate in valuations.
And Kaspar, Europe is facing indeed a long winter. Which is your case scenario?
So yeah, our case scenario is that we see the Russian gas not coming back to the full extent. So we have seen yesterday Russia cutting gas supply to Italy by another third. So we think the disruptions from Russia will continue. We think that Europe and European governments have been very well prepared, and they are doing their best to prevent, as said, a deep recession and also to prevent a default cycle. So we think the political effort is strong. Also from the monetary side, we think there is just so much you can blame a central bank for. This has not much to do with the euro decline with the central bank. It has just to do with an inefficient or insufficient missing energy security policy from Europe over the last years. So that's why Europe has to act very quickly here, and also it will mean that there is a growth deterioration on the horizon. And that will remain to be the case, to have a dampening effect on European growth. And the developments on the in the war is front and center here really in the analysis. We think there could be some negotiations starting in September, October onwards, going into winter. It might not be in the best interest of both sides to keep the war going, but it's too early to call right here and right now. So that's why we have a rather dim outlook for the time being.
Kaspar Hense, thank you so much for this analysis.
Thanks a lot, Marta.
Y nosotros pasamos al